Hello everyone, it's Kevin Skipper back with you talking about THR Advocacy. This is video 2. So the first video has gone over fairly well. We got a lot of shares on Facebook and people are giving some positive feedback on it. So I've decided to capture that and go on with the second video. In this one, we're going to be doing kind of a follow-up to the intro to advocacy and just a few things that I want to talk about before the next video series starts getting into more specifics about advocacy. So, and I've had a couple comments and messages from people across the country. The first video was more or less giving everyone an introduction to advocacy. There's more than likely, probably, a lot of good advocacy organizations and state and local groups that I left out. That was not on purpose, not intentional. There's only so much you can do in the 10 to 15 minute video time frame that I'm trying to keep these videos to, so I apologize if I left anyone out. I know that there are some entities out there that have been around for quite a while and they're doing great things, and we absolutely need them to be around, and we applaud their efforts. One, though, that I do feel, again, my personal opinion on it is not really so much an advocacy group, even though they do a lot of advocacy work, and that is AMSA, the American E-Liquid Manufacturing Standards Association. You can find them online. But anyway, I'll put the link in the description for this video, and I'll also put it as a note to the video. So they're the first ever in the world, not just the United States, to set up an industry-guided manufacturing standards for e-liquid. And, so they have members from all over the country, and what they do is their goal is to provide guidelines for a safe and sanitary environment for the production of e-liquid. It's going to happen anyway at some point in the future, and they got a couple year head start on it. I think it's fantastic what they've done there. I had a good talk with Lou Ritter yesterday for probably about an hour and 15 minutes, and so yeah, if you're an e-liquid manufacturer, obviously that's something that you're going to have to do anyway, so you might as well check out the AMSA website and get some guidance from them, and possibly consider joining up with AMSA, seeing what the regulations are, so that you're one step ahead of the game. So I guess one of the main things I wanted to talk about today, and I see this quite a bit, if you see this, I just wanted to break that down for a minute for you. Wearing a hat, a shirt, having a sign when you go to a state rally or a city or locality, something that says I VAPE, I vote on it, you have to actually vote. So that's a key component of the I VAPE, I vote moniker. If you're going to proclaim to be a voter, and what you're saying then to the politicians who are making the decisions on your rights to vape and industry's rights to continue conducting businesses in an open and free market, if you're going to regulate this product or tax this product, I want you to know, elected official, I vote. Okay, so the key component there is you actually have to vote. Voting records are kept all across the United States. So if you think at some point in the future big tobacco's lobbyists won't be checking those voting records and letting the politicians know that, yeah, they might say they vape, they vote, but really only 50% of them are voters. We went back until we checked the rolls, and roughly about 50% don't actually vote. I mean, I don't even care if you're a single issue voter. If you've never voted before, if you're over 18, which hopefully you are watching this video, if you're over 18, you need to register to vote, if for nothing else than to vote for or against politicians who are either for or against vapors' rights. Single issue, it doesn't matter if you don't vote for anything else, if you don't care about politics, that's fine. But you do care about vaping. You do care about keeping this lifestyle that we've become accustomed to with the free and open market, with ever-changing technologies, with the open vapor systems. You do care about that. So if you care enough about that, if you care enough to wear the I VAPE, I vote moniker, logo, sign, whatever, vote. I can't stress that enough. It's extremely important. Records are kept. They can find out. They will find out. So we need to have a strong base of people who are actually voters. It needs to be better than 50%. 50% is just an estimate by myself. I'm guessing that roughly about 50% of the population is registered to vote or does vote. I don't know what that's like amongst the vaping community. But it needs to be in the 90 to 100% range, especially if you're going to be wearing this logo that says I VAPE, I vote. So basically, I guess to wrap that point up, don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. Register to vote. Even if you're a single issue voter, vote. Period. All right, so I guess the next issue I wanted to briefly go over was I touched on what consumers can do to get involved, and I did touch on also in the first video how vendors can get involved. I didn't really harp too much on the vendor aspect of it because, the way I look at it is vendors have to include government affairs as part of their budget. It should be a line item in their budget, actually, government affairs, lobbying, and doing something to protect your business and your right to continue to do business in a free and open market. However, there are a lot of business owners who do not, for some reason, contribute to advocacy organizations who are working on their behalf, whether it be state or federal organizations. And that's a huge problem, obviously. So what can you do as a consumer to encourage your local shop or your online store that you shop and get your vaping supplies at to become involved in advocacy? Money talks, bullshit walks. So the key thing is when you go to your local vape shop, talk to them about advocacy. Ask them if they're involved. Are they a member of any of the organizations that are advocating on their behalf for their business rights? If they're not, maybe consider shopping somewhere that does. That's just a suggestion, but we absolutely do need support from vendors. I mean, advocacy isn't free. Lobbyists cost a lot of money. Running even consumer organizations cost quite a bit of money. I mean, they have expenses to cover, travel expenses, websites to maintain. So, I mean, there's just a lot of administrative expenses, travel expenses, stuff like that goes along with being involved in advocacy. And consumers should do their part also. I mean, obviously consumers, if they contributed $5 or $10 or $20 a month or even a year, if that's all you can afford, that's great. Businesses, they're making money. This is their livelihood, and this is something that they've invested a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears and money into getting shops off the ground. So they, in my opinion, should be bearing the heavy burden of supporting the advocacy effort. So if you're a business owner and you're watching this video, there'll be links again posted in the description. Find out how you can get involved. And this leads me kind of to the last point that I want to make in this short video. And that is that talking about advocacy does not make you an advocate. Sharing posts on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram is fantastic. It's great for exposure. But what have you actually done, physically done, to advance the cause of vapors' rights? What have you done? Did you go to your local city council meeting when there was a proposed ban? Even if you didn't want to speak, did you show up to show support? Have you contributed to any of the organizations that are advocating on behalf of you every day for vapors' rights so that we can continue to do this? Not to put too fine a point on it, but you have to do something. I mean, you have to get involved and you have to take action. And I'll use an analogy for you. I recently purchased a guitar. It's a really nice acoustic guitar. I've always wanted to learn how to play the guitar. And every time I walk by the guitar, now that it sits in my room for the past month since I purchased it, it sits there being a guitar. And I am no closer to my goal of becoming a guitar player. I did take the first step, which was providing some money to get the guitar, which again is a good starting point for you as vapors or shop owners or you look at manufacturers or whatever you may be. The first step is you have to put some money out of your pocket to get the thing that you want, okay? Secondly, my next step, if I actually do want to play the guitar, I mean, I would love to be able to pick the guitar up, start strumming it, and do an unplugged version of Nutshell by Alice in Chains. Is that going to happen? It's not going to happen. What's going to happen is I'm going to have to find somebody that plays the guitar and have them instruct me on how to get from point A to point B. But the point is, it takes action on my part. So I have to be committed enough to learn how to play the guitar. I also have to be committed enough to practice doing the guitar. So these are some things that kind of analogize over to advocacy. I mean, I could sit and talk all day to someone about wanting to play the guitar. I could sit here and talk to you for the next hour about all the songs I'd like to learn. But unfortunately, me actually doing something towards that is the only thing that's going to get me to my goal, and that is to be a guitar player. So I have to practice. So I have to find someone who can show me and help me how to do that. I can't obviously do it by myself. So action speaks louder than words, basically, is what I'm trying to get across to you. What have you physically done? Not shared, not talked about, not liked a post on, not retweeted. What have you done? Okay? Action is key. And that kind of to wrap up the whole discussion is the same thing with the I VAPE, I vote. Make sure you register to vote. Make sure you actually vote. Talking about advocacy is one thing. Being an advocate, completely different ballpark. Okay? So I'm just going to try to keep these between 10 to 12 minutes. I think that that's probably the level at which people will start to dwindle off with advocacy talks. Again, I'm not sure where this platform's headed, but we're going to keep doing these. I have at least 2 or 3 more videos in the series that I'm planning, that I have things that I'd like to discuss and talk about and answer some questions that I've received as an advocate with tobacco harm reduction. So subscribe, share, like. That's one thing that you can do to take action, so you can get this information to other vapors and vendors who might want to learn more about advocacy and what they can do to help. And again, you don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something. Get involved.